yeah, I should win just because you had the Timberwolves in the 8th seed.
Vasilevsky's been playing really well, and the Lightning have a great offense.
Yeah, it was a tremendous shot, and I've come to expect it from LeBron. I would say I wish the best for the Red Sox, but as a Yankees fan, that's really hard for me to do.
The biggest addition to me is Jalen Brunson.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Why'd you have to name him? Like, seriously? Like, thanks, man.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Clippers and Nets would be facing in the finals?
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground?
Crazy. And for the fans at home,
Hello, I'm Cy Mendenhall, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin. I'm joined by the man that benefited from the trade that we already talked about with Devin Williams, but now we talked about it a little bit in the episode, but to kind of go more in depth at what the Brewers are doing. Austin.
Yeah, the Brewers obviously traded Devin Williams to the Yankees while Willie Adames left the Brewers and went to the Giants, correct?
Yes, and it was a 7-year, I want to say like $200 million deal.
Yeah, pretty lucrative. And now the question is, where do the Brewers go from here? They were first in the NL Central last year, but they lost in the wildcard series to the Mets. And they're getting rid of I would say their best player, even though he is a reliever in Devin Williams. He'd missed some games last year and also was someone that I think a lot of people were surprised by how he played in the postseason because he did struggle towards the end of it. He also gave up the homer to Pete Alonso that kind of ruined their season, but he has a 1.83 career ERA. He's gotten Cy Young votes before. A lot of stuff has happened, and I do think that they're going to sorely miss him, but do you think that the Brewers are more like, we have so many young guys, we're just going to plan for later and just have this team built 2 to 3 years down the line? Or do you think they're still trying to win games? Or obviously they're going to try to win games, but you think they're going to try to win this season or not?
Yeah, and before I answer that, I got the Willie Adames deal wasn't $200 million. It was 7 years, $182 million. But to me, I do think they're trying to compete, but they're doing something to where they are just kind of reinvesting in themselves. They're not willing to pay guys. They weren't willing to pay Willie Adames. And there's someone to me that's young, even though they do have Rhys Hoskins at first base. But you have some young guys in William Contreras. And so they got back a Nestor Cortez in the deal, and they got other prospects. But to me, the Brewers seem like a team that's confident with their idea to develop pitching. You can go to you mentioned before we started recording, they had traded Josh Hader, and that he was a great closer. And then, but they had Devin Williams, who's like already emerged. Now they don't really have anyone set up. There's no one really pushing. They do have some good players, but it's nothing like where you had Devin Williams and Josh Hader. The thing where I think they're just confident with building pitching because they also had Corbin Burns and they shipped him out, and then they won the division once again. It wasn't a great division, but to me, the Brewers are just kind of going one way. Instead of paying guys and keeping guys, they're going to develop, listen to the market, trade guys, and see what they can do. And you kind of see that with a shortstop as well as I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the starting shortstop, but they have a lot of young guys like Jackson Chourio, who I believe they got back in that Corbin Burns trade. So that is just something to where they are confident in developing young guys and just see more value in getting young guys back instead of paying for guys like they could have done with Devin Williams or even Willie Adames.
Yeah, and the Brewers were a team that I was kind of surprised. The problem is they kept dealing with injuries and injuries and injuries. I mean, they had players like Gary Sanchez, who is someone who is really good with the Yankees for a little bit, and then came to Milwaukee last year. He played 89 games. It has him listed here as their DH, even though he only played 89 games, which is I do find a little bit odd. And it's just they had Christian Yelich, who was having one of his best years in a while. He was batting .315, but he only played 73 games. He had 2.2 WAR. It just seems like they're a team that is dealing with a lot of injuries outside of those young guys. And now that they lose Willy Adames, I'm interested to see if they go to sign one of the lower guys or if they call somebody up. Reese Hoskins was another guy they signed last year, and he really struggled this past season. He only had a 98 OPS plus. He did have 26 homers, but he only batted .214. Do they add a guy for first base, or where do they really go? I still like their starting pitching, but because they've gotten rid of so many of the guys, Corbin Burns, they don't have some of the other guys that they've had for the past couple of years. They have Freddie Peralta still. They signed Aaron Savali last year, and it just feels a little awkward. There's been a lot of great pitchers that have pitched for the Brewers. They've had a Cy Young winner. They've had best reliever winners. They've had a lot of guys that have been star pitchers and also star players, and they just cannot seem to get over the hump, and then they eventually trade those guys away. It is really weird how many guys they've had that eventually just go separate ways. I still remember, or you go.
Well, yeah, and to bring that up to as I was talking about, it looks like Joey Ortiz. They had a lot of young guys. Was playing third base for them. Now he's going to move to shortstop. They have a lot of guys that can play shortstop, but I do agree. Maybe this is kind of a reset where they're kind of going, let's just restart the clock again because we weren't able to get it done with that previous iteration of the team.
Yeah. I still remember Brandon Woodruff. I think he was hurt last year. I don't think he played at all. I think he's still on the team, right?
Yeah, I see him on the roster right now for the Brewers.com.
Yeah, I think he must have had a UCL injury before the season. No, shoulder injury, and would miss the entire season. But yeah, he'll be coming back. Okay, that's good because he has a career 3.1 ERA. He was a Cy Young candidate in 2023 before he got hurt, and I still remember when he was in serious Cy Young talks back in 2021. So they're going to have the opportunity to bring some guys back that have experience. It's just, can they overcome those injuries, and can their young guys step into the open slots that they now have made for themselves?
Yeah, and maybe they probably will take a step back. I know they were great this year, but I'm looking at the in-season rankings for their farm system, and I haven't gotten to it yet, as it looks like it has them 17 in the season before 2024. They were ranked third. So they're a team where they can do a lot with their young guys. And I am interested. There is DL Hall, who I know is with the Orioles at one time and probably came over in that Corbin Burns trade. They're just a team that seems to do well with pitching and doing that, but it is placing a lot of pressure on developing guys and having them start quickly while staying competitive. So we'll have to see what happens, but there will be a drop off. It's just how bad is that drop off from Devin Williams, because he was so good, but can you just have like a average closer or maybe above average, but just something to where your level kind of, you can see the argument for trading Devin Williams instead of paying him, because to me they're just a team that doesn't really want to pay guys or pay a lot of guys.
Kevin, I do want to ask, so not including COVID, so not including that season because there wasn't that many games, every year since 2017 they've won at least 86 games, but they've also never won more than 96 games. And since 2017 they've only missed the playoffs twice. That'd be 2022 and 2017. Can they break out of this? Can they break out of this just being 86 to 96 wins? Or are they going to continue the cycle of just being kind of stuck in purgatory?
I'm not going to say this season. It really depends on how those young guys come up. Like about kind of, you mentioned Yelich's health, but also they have a lot of young guys. There's Sal Frelick as well, but Chorio, who was an impressive rookie, but it was just a stacked rookie class. How do those young players develop? Do they develop into stars or just great players and can really push the team above? But I think next year they stay around that area, as you talked about, 86 between 96 wins.
Okay.
Do you think they stay the same, or?
I think it's still going to take a little bit for them to get out of it, but I do think it's possible. I mean, their young guys are so talented that they definitely can break out eventually.
Yeah, so that concludes our idea of the Brewers. Let us know your thoughts on the Brewers and kind of what you see them doing. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders' Opinions.